Hey folks, Crazy Climber 80 here again. And it's time we're going to look at a game called Raimais. And this was created by Taito in 1988. And this was suggested by YouTube user Mongoarcademan. And there's an old game by Sega called Hang On. And this is very reminiscent of that game. But it's got power-ups that you can collect, unlike in the original game. Kind of a reimagining of an arcade classic like Taito did with Arkanoid. But each screen has a fixed screen maze that you need to go through and collect all the dots. And there are various power-ups that can be picked up after you go over some of the dots. You have a speed up button. And one of the power-ups is the ability to shoot lasers. And you'll do that with another button once you collect that power-up. But this game does not have a set path to the end. There are 4 different types of screens you might encounter for each level, giving you a total of like 125 different mazes and 4 boss rooms. You can face bosses, you don't have to, but if certain conditions are met, you can go to a boss room. Now the power-ups that you can uncover are, they're numerous. There's the laser, there's armor, which gives you a little shield, and you lose it when you touch an enemy. There is a warp that can let you go to what's called a reverse round, and it'll open up a door and you can go in it. And then there's a button that slows the enemies down. There's a C, or there's a power-up that gives you a C. It stands for clear. It clears the level of dots, or weakens the one that takes extra trips to destroy. Some of those gray dots can take extra you need to go over again to destroy, and maybe again and again. But I'm using the laser right now. There are sometimes mines, and they will activate shortly after you run over them, and you can take out the enemies. The enemies will always respawn after a short interval, and after you beat a level, then you can go out one of 8 exits. Like I said, there are 125 mazes, and from the beginning to the end, you will only go through 32 of them. But you can encounter the different ones along the way. But that room up at the top has a little laser guarding it. You can go right through that and enter that little chamber there. Those enemies will disappear for a short while and then reappear. They can't hurt you when they're invisible. I used up some of my armor just to smash through them. But yeah, there are some cool power-ups you can get. There's one called Break, and it lets you exit the maze early. And there's one called Random, which gives you a random effect. There's one that gives you a 1-up as well. But yeah, there will be other enemies that can make dots, so you have more work to do. Or they might turn existing dots into the metal ones, which take longer to destroy. You have to go over them multiple times. Well, I guess I died. I couldn't tell what happened. But yeah, you pick one of those exits, and it may determine what your list of levels you need to go through are. And that creature is called Oh, he's got a weird name. His name is Gumcan. He's an alien that appears in cutscenes after like level 4, 12, or 24. And if you can make it to those without losing a life, you might be able to get the warp icon on the next level. And that warp icon says, O, I think that's its letter, and that warps you to the reverse round. And I think the reverse round is the boss level. But we'll look at that later on. But your goal on each level is just to run over all the dots. And once you have lasers, you can shoot it an infinite amount of times. And you can strengthen... See, I have to go over these multiple times. You can strengthen your armor or your laser, make it faster, by getting multiple power-ups of the same kind. Multiple lasers or multiple shield or whatever. But I had never seen this in arcades or heard of it until, I think until YouTube user Mongoarcademan mentioned it. This is one of those rare games of the 80s where the protagonist is a woman. Rare for the arcades anyway. But yeah, you are a woman racing a car, a futuristic car called the Organizer. And some of those pink enemies are kind of weird. They, They try to follow you, and they will spin in place if they can't quite reach you. But again, some of the enemies will make dots. Or maybe they might turn existing dots into the metal ones that take more touches to destroy. But yeah, this is very reminiscent of the old game Hang On. Although this has power-ups and some other kind of cool features. It's not a bad game. I kind of like it, but man, there are so many levels to play. And there, I've got a little bit of armor. I wanted to save it there. Later on levels, some of the later levels have kind of a timer. And you have to, crap. Well, there went my armor. They might have a timer, and you'll need to beat the level in time, or else these meteors will destroy your vehicle. The Japanese version of this game has a different ending. You will face this mad scientist, and they changed the gameplay, and it's kind of stupid. You have to react to certain moves that the game prompts you to do. Ah, crap. Well, that's game over. You can continue, but I chose not to there. But we will look at some of the later enemies and a boss room and the ending. But you can get a good or bad ending at the end of the Japanese version. And if you do the reaction moves correctly, you'll kill the professor if you collected an item earlier on in the game. And you reunite with your boyfriend. That red enemy will grab onto you. It can't hurt you, I guess, but it'll slow you down. See? But now we've got oil slicks, and you will skid through them. I put on infinite shields as a cheat, just to get through this faster. And there is the... Oh! That's my gate I can go through and face a boss. I believe that's correct, but those slicks make it hard to get there. Yep, here's a boss room, and it's a dragonfly. And you have to collect the lasers in order to kill it, and you have to shoot a bunch of times. And again, the more laser icons you collect, the more you can shoot at a time. And you can just hold down for rapid fire, I believe. We'll zip forward and see me kill this guy. You get a nice bonus for killing him, I think like 20,000. Then you just go to the next level. And there's another red guy that will slow you down if it grabs you. And I think you can die if you go through those doors at the wrong time and it pinches you. And then we have these spider things that hop up and down. And you can go underneath when they're hopping up. And we'll look at the ending in just a moment. Here's the last, one of the last levels. Like I said, each level, there are 4 different types to it. And depending on the paths you went, you might see a different type. But here is the last, or the very ending. You just see the building that you were on the rooftops of each, or of that building, and it is destroyed. But again, if you play the Japanese version, there are 2 different endings. There is a good ending and a bad ending, and there's like a mirror that you need to collect on one of those levels. It is called the Mirror of Light, and it's like around the 23rd screen. But at the end, you will kill the mad scientist if you collected it and you did all the reaction time moves correctly, and then you reunite with your boyfriend. But yeah, this is one of those fairly rare 80s game moments where a woman is the protagonist that you play. She drives a futuristic vehicle called the Organizer. That is Raimais by Taito in 1988. Well, I hope you had a good weekend, and one more week and it's the Super Bowl. Gonna fire up a lot of steak and cheese sandwiches for my dad and my brothers and probably my nephew and his friend all coming over. That's Raimais by Taito in 1988. And kind of an updated version of the old classic Sega game called Hang On from the late 70s. I have that game in my 20 from the 1970s series. And one of these days I'd like to finish off that series. I left off before I could do game number 8 because that game is not available yet in emulation. Get there someday, hopefully. That is Raimais by Taito in 1988. Now I'll put in my initials. Yeah, there's essentially 32 levels to go through, but there are 4 different possible screens of each level other than the first. That one has only that one. Just depends on which path you go through, which exit when you beat a level. That's Raimais by Taito in 1988. And suggested by YouTube user Mongoarcademan. Was this Crazy Climber 80 saying thanks for watching Raimais. I will catch you later in the future with another video. Hope you all have a good one and enjoy the Super Bowl next week, folks. Bye-bye.